afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for your time today and joining me. My name is My-Linh Truong, and just a little bit about me. I've been with RIEGL for nearly 10 years, wearing quite a bit of hats, starting out with diving in headfirst into data processing, moving over to our support and training department, managing that for a few years, and then transitioning to become our unmanned laser scanning segment manager, which coincided with the emergence of the commercial UAS marketplace. Today, I'll be talking about the benefits and highlights of the RIEGL miniVUX series UAS LiDAR sensors and systems. So why UAV-based LiDAR? By making use of LiDAR on a UAV platform, offers the users all of the benefits of what LiDAR is, making use of an active sensor using light, in other words, lasers, and that offers the ability of working in a variety of lighting and weather conditions. That's not always the case when it comes to camera images because it's a snapshot of the ground, and if it's dark, can't see it. With lasers, you can definitely see it. Although for UAV operations, you'll definitely need the appropriate permissions to operate in that environment. In this smaller aerial package, the UAV LiDAR offers a lower upfront investment cost and lower mobilization costs for your data acquisition and overall manpower related and compared to traditional manned LiDAR operations. RIEGL is a leading and established LiDAR manufacturer that provides engineering and survey-grade accuracies for a multitude of UAS applications. Specifically, we provide dense, accurate, and feature-rich data. These applications and use cases will be featured later on in today's presentation. In addition, we offer efficient and precise data capture based on our streamlined data acquisition and post-processing workflow. So the RIEGL miniVUX 1 UAV was introduced in late 2016 with a market appearance in spring of 2017. This sensor was really a response to the size and weight of existing survey-grade accuracy LiDAR sensors, which includes the RIEGL VUX 1 UAV, hence the name miniVUX 1 UAV. And this sensor was really designed with integration on for more small UAS operations. Still to date, over the last nearly 4 years, it's still the lightest weight LiDAR sensor offered by RIEGL. This sensor is true to RIEGL's name with the multi-target capability of offering up to 5 returns per laser pulse. This sensor has 360-degree field of view with a data storage of using an SD card for hot swappable data in the field. What makes the miniVUX 1 UAV different? It's really the wavelength that we make use of, which is 905 nanometers, and this is more so over the established wavelengths that is typically used for airborne laser scanning, namely 1064 nanometers, which is the center line here, and 1550 nanometers, which is the rightmost line over here. The 905 nanometer wavelength offers fantastic results over snow and ice, as well as it's on par with the results that you get over vegetation, as well as cement or typical hard surfaces in an operation. By taking a closer look at the measurement performance, you can see that there is significant ranging capability for a variety of environments where you would map and scan over. This offers flexibility to your overall data acquisition, depending on what your region of interest and your deliverables that you're looking to obtain by making use of the same payload. So let's investigate a little bit further with a data acquisition example. If we fly at 4 meters per second, which is approximately 9 miles an hour, and you operate your UAV at 100 meters above ground, in this example, this will yield an average of 40 points per square meter. And that is really one flight pass. Typically, you'll have a multitude of flight passes to cover your area of interest. And of course, this is already significant over a typical manned flight operation, manned airborne laser scanning flight operation. Next, we have the miniVUX 1DL, where the DL is an indication of downward looking. This scanner was introduced in late 2017 with a market appearance in spring of 2018. Now, this particular scanner was offered with response to many application-specific requests. The miniVUX 1DL is a variant of the miniVUX 1 UAV. It's truly that downward-looking orientation that is that major difference, and that offers and was optimized for corridor mapping applications. Now, due to the downward-looking orientation, it is a little bit more in weight, about 5.3 pounds compared to 3.4 pounds from the miniVUX 1 UAV. However, it's well within the operations for small UAS payloads. And the key difference is this field of view. It's a circular scan pattern offering a 46-degree cone, and it's this cone of data that is the unique scan pattern and why the miniVUX 1DL is so interesting. So a little glimpse into this scanner scan pattern. It makes use of a rotating wedge prism that offers a circular scan pattern on the ground. So it's forward and backward 23 degrees off nadir. And it's this circular scan pattern, although it's more narrow compared to the 360-degree field of view that the miniVUX 1 UAV offers. It's the circular scan pattern that concentrates 100% of the laser shots on the ground, making it perfect for corridor mapping. A closer look into this example. If you're flying at 35 knots, which is about 40 miles an hour. So obviously we're looking at a fixed wing UAV example, flying at such speeds and operating at about 80 meters above ground. In this example, we are using false colorization of showing the red dots as the circular scan pattern behind where the scan is originating from, and the blue dots signifying the scan patterns in front of the scan. This doesn't mean that the scanner is emitting red and green laser pulses, but just to give you that understanding of where the points are coming from. In this flight example at nadir, so directly underneath the scanner, in these flight conditions, you're getting 52 points per square meter. So already more than what the miniVUX 1 UAV offered at significantly higher and faster flight speeds. If we move 20 meters off nadir, so 20 meters over to the side, left and right, there's an increase at 66 points per square meter. And moving over 40 meters off nadir, so we're looking at the edge of the swath line of this LiDAR scan pattern, we have a tremendous increase of a whopping 316 points per square meter. Again, all of this is with one swath, one flight path, and this is really a clear indication of the power behind this scanner as you're flying along track, a corridor, um, picking up your pylons, transmission towers, even pipelines. It's that concentration of points as you're flying alongside your area of interest. So with the success of the miniVUX 1 UAV and the miniVUX 1 DL in the small UAS marketplace over the last few years, many users were commenting that the field performance of these two scanners were well outside of the performance that was listed in the data sheets. And the reason why is because RIEGL has typically been conservative in publishing our performance specifications. We want to ensure that what we list, you're definitely going to get all the time, if not more. However, given this constant feedback, we took this to heart and we decided to go ahead and update the information that's being presented. So what we see here is truly an approximate 20% increase in the performance of each scanner type. And this is not a change in the scanner itself, it's just really a better representation of the performance that in the real world environment. And we also list the maximum ranging performance of each scanner at 3 different reflectivity of the targets. Primarily was listing at 20% reflectivity and 60% reflectivity. Now we're also listing at 80% reflectivity for what we see out in the marketplace. Late last year in 2019, we've introduced our next expansion to the miniVUX family, which is the miniVUX 2 UAV. This particular scanner offers double the pulse repetition rate and performance of the miniVUX 1 UAV. All of these scanners before were fixed at 100 kilohertz, which is 100,000 laser shots per second. Given the 360-degree field of view was at 100 measurements per second on the ground. With the miniVUX 2 UAV, we're doubling that. If we compare the two, the miniVUX 1 UAV and the miniVUX 2 UAV, more or less everything is the same size, same weight, same overall dimensions. However, the miniVUX 2 UAV is offering that user selectable pulse repetition rate of 100 kilohertz and now the 200 kilohertz. In addition, we've also added in some white cosmetic features, offering the white cooling fan and the white front cap, purely cosmetic. It doesn't change the operations, but visually, this will give you an indication of which sensor type you're making use of in the field in the event that you have several different UAV payloads out there. I do want to notate the maximum ranging performance difference between the two. As they are all the same size, weight, and dimensions, it's still the same power draw. And as the miniVUX 2 UAV has the ability of double the pulse repetition rate as before, that means that there's a lot more energy getting emitted, and that is being shared across. So in the end, your maximum range capability is a little bit lower for each of the laser pulses, but all of these are well within the parameters for a small UAS operation. Just something to take note of. So by investigating further for the performance of the miniVUX 2 UAV, using the same flight conditions example for the miniVUX 1 UAV, so still flying at 4 meters per second, still operating at 100 meters above ground, we're actually doubling the point density at 80 points per square meter with one flight pass. Alternately, you could also just fly at double the speed and get the same point density as before. and that gives you that flexibility of less time out in the field by collecting the same amount of data. So if we compare all three of the miniVUX sensors in the series, they're pretty similar across the board. Now, of course, with the miniVUX 2 UAV, just really showcasing it offers the same capabilities of the miniVUX 1 UAV, as well as the option of doubling that performance. Given the overall performance differences, this is something to take note of when you are deciding which sensor makes the most sense for you, because your flight operation and above ground is going to be different, and that will reflect on your overall flight planning. But how do you decide which one is best for you? The previous table was a lot of numbers and a lot of specs, which is important, but in the end, it really depends on your application. Regardless of your payload, which is related to your size, weight, and of course cost, it always comes down to your application. What are you intending to use your LiDAR scanner and system for? What you see here is that it's not necessarily a one size fits all, but it can be seen as a one size fits most. In the end, it does relate to the weight and the ranging performance, um, but the benefits really are something to take note of. For the miniVUX 1 DL, although it's a narrower field of view, which therefore means more flight lines with overlapping passes, you get a tremendously much higher point density on the ground. So is that something that you're looking for to get that high concentration of points for your area of interest? Or with the miniVUX 2 UAV, do you just want to fly as fast as possible, get out, go to the field, collect your data, and come back? Or are you looking for a very cost-effective LiDAR sensor, integration, lightest weight, which therefore means you can fly a little bit longer, given that power draw on the UAV? All of these come into play. Once you've decided on your UAV LiDAR scanner, I didn't talk about IMUs, but also that, so your configuration. You also have the ability of incorporating cameras, and it's the additional attribute of bringing in imagery, and specifically the RGB attribute, in addition to your XYZ of where you are in the world, that offers that sensor fusion capability. Now, when it comes to cameras, it could be one or two cameras that you're looking for, and that does depend on the overall payload space that your UAV offers. And its position, of course, is related to weight and balance of how it's mounted on the payload for a stable center of gravity. For a single camera or nadir configuration, it's really good for ortho photo creation because it's that directly over the ground look perspective. However, it doesn't fit, the camera image footprint doesn't fit over the 360-degree field of view that the miniVUX 1 UAV and the miniVUX 2 UAV offer. It does work perfectly for a more limited field of view, such as the miniVUX 1 DL. On the other side, for an oblique camera configuration where it's two camera images, it covers a larger swath in relation to the LiDAR swath, but you may have difficulties in making use of that for orthophoto creation. So are you looking more to just colorize and increase your overall effective area of coverage for data colorization? Or are you really looking for that in parallel orthophoto mosaic creation? Just things to consider. So Many of you may be familiar with this UAV platform. This is the DJI Matrice 600 Pro UAV, and because of its popularity in the marketplace, we have offered an integration kit for directly mounting the miniVUX system onto this UAV platform. Now, it was optimized for this UAV platform, but it's not limited to it. So essentially, it's really for any multi-rotor UAV that is capable of lifting this LiDAR payload and truly making use of just the 4 attachment points where everything comes together. The integration kit offers the pilot the ability to control the scanner using the UAV's remote control, using a 3-way switch to boot up the payload and start collecting the data. And it's this integration kit that is really offering a turnkey solution, which is everything but the drone. By making use of that 3-way switch, we're able to just boot up and start up the scanning payload and just collect all of the data. There is no need to be concerned that there is any data that's missing when you're out in the field. And by making use of RXP Cutter, an embedded utility within the RIEGL Ride Process software suite, this enables that you're able to just collect everything in the field and then isolate your area of interest on the back end when you're processing everything. And that means there's less room for error for your pilot to accidentally forget to record one of the flight lines. You're just recording everything. So now that there's been an overview of these LiDAR sensors, in the end, it depends on what your usage application is for your LiDAR system. In this case, for forestry, you need that multi-target capability. You need the ability of the LiDAR to penetrate all the way to the ground and not just the top of the tree canopy. In this particular image, it was taken with the miniVUX 1DL because of that high concentration of points, and you're able to assess the health of the vegetation as well as measure the DBH, or diameter at breast height. Extracting a little bit more, taking our LiDAR point cloud and bringing into third-party softwares for further 3D modeling and data analytics, such as the Autodesk software suite, MicroStation, or even Esri's ArcGIS platform. You can even use RIEGL's RIMAP web application, which inherently supports all of RIEGL's data output. Here we have the LiDAR data over a forested environment. And through the third-party software, you're able to create your digital terrain model. You're able to isolate the vegetation. You're able to measure the tree canopy height. And with continual monitoring and mapping, you're able to detect the tree canopy change as well. This is just one example of what you can do with RIEGL LiDAR. Another application would be power lines or utilities. In this environment, by making use of a narrow field of view, offering that concentration of points along the corridor, such as the miniVUX 1DL, it's really ideal for these lightweight payload restrictions as you're flying alongside and not directly over the transmission tower. Alternately, for transportation, the needs are really dependent on what you're looking for. In this case, could be along the right of way. So you have that look perspective where you're not able to drive along using mobile LiDAR. In that case, you would like a wide field of view, such as the miniVUX 1 UAV or the miniVUX 2 UAV, to get the look perspective that you're looking for. In addition, pavement assessment. So by making use of RIEGL's scaled intensity or reflectance, we're able to see the reflectivity, which is an optical property of all materials. Um, in this case, for pavement, you're able to see where paint stripes are, or even able to see the conditions of the pavement. So here you can see that it's a little bit darker. So this is a bit more fresher asphalt, for example, compared to some aging and this patch from years ago. For Opencast mining, you want that wide field of view, that capability of seeing all, as well as that long measurement ranging capability to get down to the bottom of the mine. So in that case, I would probably recommend our miniVUX 2 UAV. For bridge inspection or critical infrastructure, again, that wide field of view, ability to fly along your bridge deck and still get your laser shots underneath the decking as you're flying alongside or slightly above the bridge. miniVUX 2 UAV again. And last but not least, geophysical risk assessment and management. So geology, landslide monitoring. Granted, RIEGL USA is based in Florida, so we have minimal risk of landslides, but you can take into consideration this same application by making use of monitoring landfills or quarries, for example. So again, wide field of view, you're able to fly alongside the rock face in this example. And again, I would say our miniVUX 2 UAV. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you are interested in learning more about our larger VUX series, I do invite you to join me and my colleague, Stephen Macion, next week. Same time, same place, just next week, Thursday, April 30th, again, 2 to 2:30 Eastern Time. And if you have not registered yet, you can find the registration link on my LinkedIn page, or feel free to email me directly so I can send over the registration link to you. At this time, I am happy to take any questions. Okay, in no particular order, is RIEGL utilizing other cameras besides the Sony a6000 for use with the miniVUX series? Yes, we are. We do offer the A7R3, which is also from Sony, and that is a 42.4 megapixel camera compared to the A6000, which is a 24.3 megapixel camera. It is larger in size and weight, but obviously is offering double the resolution. So definitely something to consider. We also offer a thermal camera integration, but that is a little bit more niche. Our miniVUX LiDAR scanners usable for terrestrial applications. Now, my understanding of what you mean by terrestrial applications would be on a tripod, so rotating on a 360-degree axis. And in that case, the answer is no, because in a fixed position, the miniVUX, say one UAV or the two UAV, is a 360-degree field of view from its perspective. And it's oriented horizontally to look down to the ground from a UAV perspective. And that will also need to be integrated with an inertial measurement system. So that models the movement for a UAV application, the UAV, the airframe, as well as its positioning system. Whereas a terrestrial or tripod-based scanning system is inherently three-dimensional. It's fixed in one position, and its field of view is 100 degrees north to south, so to speak, in its perspective, and then it rotates around one orientation to get that 360-degree 3D circle of data. So the operation is a little bit different, and I don't recommend that. We do not use a gimbal to hold the scanning system in place. We rigidly mount it to the LiDAR, or to the UAV, excuse me, and that will give you the best stabilized environment for collecting your data. For questions regarding cost, I will email you directly, as it depends on the overall configuration. So which miniVUX scanner, which inertial measurements system. RIEGL offers integration, direct integration using Applanix's IMUs, either the APX15, the APX20, or the AP20, which is still in the marketplace, but for a UAS integration, we are steering away from that just simply because the APX20 IMU GNSS solution offers the same overall accuracy, but is a reduction in the overall payload weight. For those that are interested in a recording of today's webinar session, we will be releasing all recordings of RIEGL's webinar series in the first week of May, so just stay tuned. I did mention Esri's RIMAP, or RIEGL's RIMAP web application that plugs directly into ArcGIS. That I'd be happy to share. I am not an expert in that information, to be honest, but I think that it is such a cool product, and I would be happy to get further information over to you and put you in touch with my colleagues that are heading up that program. I'm getting some questions about RIEGL's Rycopter UAV, which is really exciting. So perhaps I should do a future webinar session all about the RIEGL designed, RIEGL manufactured Rycopter UAV. I am now realizing the time. We are well overdue past our webinar scheduled time, so I want to be respectful of everyone in the event that you have something else to do. So I will continue to gather all of these questions. Feel free to email me directly or put it into the question box, and I will be in touch with each of you directly. Thank you so much, and I look forward to interacting with all of you directly, and hopefully you'll join me next week to learn all about the RIEGL VUX series. Thanks so much.